Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Fred from GetMeCoding.com and I want to welcome you here. If you're looking at this video wondering why is he dressed in Jedi robes, I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm a huge Star Wars fan and I'm about to kick off a series of tutorials that are going to introduce you to working with the structured query language, also known as SQL, also called SQL. But the best part is we're going to be working with Star Wars data. So if you're a Star Wars fan, this is the right place to be. So this is the very first tutorial and we're going to kick it off with some real, good basics, and then we're going to move forward through a series of tutorials and they'll get more complex as we go along. By the time you're done, I'm hoping, well, you too could be wearing Jedi robes and maybe be a Jedi Master or working towards being a Jedi Master, or hey, just having some fun learning about databases. So let's go. Oh, and may the Force be with you. Hi everyone, this is the first of a series of tutorials that are going to introduce you to how to work with a database, and in this particular example we're going to be working with the Star Wars data set that I put into a Star Wars database. So you're going to be able to download this full database in a variety of forms down in the comments section below. So let's take a look at this here. And we're going to see that over here we're using Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, which is a tool that allows you to connect to a SQL Server database. That's a Microsoft SQL Server database. Over here on the left side, you'll see that you have what's known as an Object Explorer. And this Object Explorer allows us to see the instance where we installed SQL Server. And in that instance, we built several databases. So the database that I have here is known as the Star Wars DB, or Star Wars database. When you expand it, as it is here, you'll notice that it also has tables, views, external resources, synonyms, and so on. So first and foremost, you expand the tables view and you could see that here are all the tables within this particular database. Now, if you're new to this, you're going to notice that it has a naming convention and it says DBO dot then the name. So the name is obviously to the right of the or the dot there, and it's climate and film based and so on. But the DBO stands for database owner. Since I'm logged in as the creator of this database, it comes with that prefix DBO. Now, when you're writing a SQL statement, the SQL statements we're going to start with are going to be relatively simple, and then we're going to continue to build. So in this case, we're going to write a SQL query that's going to retrieve a list of vehicle names. So you'll notice here in the list, we have a variety of things, variety of tables. And if I come down to the vehicle table here and I click the plus symbol, it expands it and we see other folders, but the one that's most important to us right now is the columns folder. And if I take my mouse and I stretch this out, I could read the full description. So what you're looking at here now is the table known as vehicle, and in that table it is made up of multiple columns, as we could see here. So we have vehicle ID. Now to the right of it you see that there's some, looks like some abbreviations. PK stands for primary key, INT stands for integer, and then of course not null. We're not going to get into the theory of this right now, but we're going to write a select statement using SQL that's going to retrieve and display the vehicle name. To do that, we're going to create a new query, and then we're going to begin to type. A basic select statement is comprised of the word select, from, and oftentimes where. And when you type these into the SQL query tool, you're going to see that they become blue. That means they're reserved words. They are words that are going to initiate a command. So we're not going to really get into the where clause at this moment, but we are going to use select and from. Now, it's in caps, but SQL, when you're writing the commands, they are not case sensitive. However, they may become case sensitive a little bit later on in a where clause. So let's go ahead, we'll type select. Now, what are we going to select? Select means retrieve. So we're going to retrieve the vehicle name. So all you do is type vehicle name, and then you have your from what table. So select the column from the table. Select vehicle name from vehicle. There's no need to include the DBO when you are the person logged in as the database owner. However, there are instances where if you're not the creator, you're not the owner of the database, you might have to put DBO dot table name. So once you have that in there, you'll notice that a SQL select statement is often terminated with a semicolon. That's just good practice. You could leave it off in this case here, but we're going to keep it on. And when we're ready to run the query, we can come up here and we can click execute or hit F5 on your keyboard. When we do that, we see the results down below the query, and here they all are. So this is listing now all the vehicle names from the vehicle table. Oftentimes when you're working with data, you're going to put it into a specific order. In order to achieve that, we utilize a command called order by. To use an order by, it falls in the sequence of select, from, where, order by. So I'm going to remove the semicolon because that's where we would put, the semicolon goes at the end of the statement. So we're not at the end of the statement any longer. We're going to type order by, notice it's in blue, and we tell it that we want to order it by a specific column. So since we're displaying vehicle name, we'll say vehicle name, and then we have to tell it whether to put it in ascending or descending order. Ascending means A through Z, descending means Z through A. Now, one of the things we see here below is the data set appears to be in ascending order already, because we could see that it says armored assault tank, at RT, and so on, and it looks like it's going up the order of the database. So let's do it in descending. Just for example's sake, we put DESC. Now, one of the things you want to make note of is whenever you're working with a database, take a look at the syntax rules. For Microsoft SQL Server, the command to put it into descending order is simply DESC. You can see it's there in blue. We will terminate it with a semicolon. We're going to hit F5, and we'll notice now that the order gets reversed. So there we have a select statement. So select column from table, order by the column and the specific order that you're looking for. In the last part of this example, I want to show how you can add another column. It's very, very simple, and all you'll need to do now is we're going to include in our query, we're going to display the vehicle name and the vehicle model. So to do that, we can add to our select clause. So we have vehicle name already, and then we're going to separate it with a comma, and we could put vehicle, if I could type correctly, vehicle model. With that there, I can now run my query, F5, and I could see that I'm displaying the vehicle name and the vehicle model. Now, when you look at this particular select statement, you'll notice that I'm following a specific format, and you're seeing it all broken out on separate lines. That is just simply for demonstration and instructional purposes, but it is an easy way to also debug your SQL statements when you put them in your code, whether it's Java or Python or whatever other programming language you're going to be working with if you're building something that's going to reach out to a database. If I want, I could also separate this particular column list. I could put it onto its own row, and I could also get into indenting for ease of reading here also. So things jump out at me a little bit easier. So now with that like that, I can click execute, and there we see the vehicle name and the vehicle model now both being displayed.